we've all experienced an upgrade, some of us more than others, but at the same time, it's forcing us to be fully engaged in our craft. And I think overall that means healthier people.
You're listening to the Pro Status Podcast.
Well, guys, I'm Drake,
I'm Jesse.
and welcome to the first Pro Status episode of 2021. We made it through 2020.
Yeah, I think in our last episodes, we definitely talked about like opening church and how to approach that and kind of a process with all of that stuff. And then we just stopped talking. I think we were just tired of talking about Corona.
Yeah, and I also think we got busy.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I felt like 2020 was one of the busier years for us, and it just looked different.
Eventually, it was one of the busiest. Yes,
We weren't doing live events, but we were doing a lot more other things.
Yeah, ironically, I think the thing that took most of my time was people thinking they knew what they were doing and telling me how to do my job, and having to educate or figure out how to do things only to realize they have no idea what they're doing.
Yep.
Made my job a lot harder.
Yep, I can see that for sure. Well, to start things off, what has been your favorite or the best technology that you've played with in 2020 last year?
Oh my gosh. I mean, people are going to talk about all the cool virtual tools. I guarantee it. And I don't know if I have one. I mean, Ada Mini Pro and its cool, amazing features. That was pretty epic. The streaming bridge, which finally came out with it, is also really amazing. A lot of the camera control features there. A lot of these virtualized web-based platforms, they're all beta, but they all have a unique angle. And it's really exciting. So it's really hard to pick one thing that I'm excited about, just because there's an area of the market that was slowly growing and now it is catapulting.
Yep. I have my favorite tech.
Well, you go first.
Well, it's pretty obvious. The Red Komodo, that came out in
Oh, yeah,
2020, so that's pretty easy
Yeah,
to talk about.
that is good. Also, another example of a product that's epic and awesome, but is still in development.
Yeah. They're still working out the kinks, but it still works pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely working. It's pretty cool. It's very cutting edge. What I do like is it definitely it responds to the market's desire of having a affordable pro cinema level camera.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be the crash cam of cinema, but it's epic.
I mean, originally developed by Red for Netflix to have a GoPro style camera that matched, because GoPros, I guess, in Netflix, you can only have like 10 frames of GoPro at a time, something like that. I'll look that up, but it's...
Well, if you guys didn't know, Netflix has a whole approved camera list, and to be featured or to have a movie or something on Netflix, you have these certain requirements.
Yeah, the camera list is for Netflix originals, but there is still requirements. If your stuff wants to go on Netflix, you have to hit certain requirements, but the approved camera list is if it's a Netflix original. So you can shoot it on whatever if it's not.
Interesting that they set the quality standard based on hardware. Or at least I'm sure that's a part of it, but I'm just...
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is like a Netflix original has to be 4K or above. So all the cameras on the list are 4K. The other thing, all the cameras shoot RAW. So that's kind of like the other thing is like you have to have RAW capabilities.
Yeah.
But like the R5 is on there, and that's just a mirrorless camera, but it shoots 8K and it shoots RAW, so it can get on the list.
I know for my corporate stuff, like I would do when I would rent local and not bring my own stuff, I would always, because they'd always want to bring the big broadcast cameras. and I would get messed, like it would mess me up every time, just because they had different emphasis, like their goals were different. And so eventually I just started saying, hey, as long as it's 4K, the sensor is going to be modern enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Modern enough that I'm going to get a good deliverable. And so I wonder if that's like their approach.
It possibly. But I think going back to what we were saying is part of the thing with using the GoPro is it's a crash camera. You can put it anywhere, it's super wide, and you can destroy them. It doesn't really matter. But Netflix only allowed a few frames or a few seconds of that image because of how bad it was. So I guess they figured out if it's only in here for X amount of frames, it doesn't look that bad, or it's not as noticeable. Kind of thing. So they asked Red to develop a really small camera to use instead of GoPros. And that's where the Komodo started. And I think it started out as that and turned into a much more popular product.
Much more robust than they probably even originally intended.
It's very robust.
I bet you they worked on it during pre-COVID, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
And then COVID, they just built it out even further.
Well, I think that as they were developing it, they got excited about what they were seeing with the global shutter and all those things. And so they realized this could be so much more. And yes, it still will be used as a crash camera for a lot of Hollywood films. You mount it on your helmet or any of those kinds of things where you can't put like a full-size camera.
Oh gosh, for car mounts type stuff, it's going to change the game.
Yeah,
for that.
exactly. Even gimbals and drones, it's so much lighter and smaller, so you're not having to like have.
You might
gimbals.
actually be able to mount one on an Inspire.
I'm sure someone will try.
It's still pretty heavy, but yeah, I could totally see that. I remember when the Micro Studios came out for Blackmagic, that was one of the advertised potentials. It was like, oh, you could put this on a drone and fly it around with these cheap little MFT lenses.
Yeah, the bummer with the Micro Studio is it just didn't do well outside of a controlled environment.
Yeah, I mean, one of the products I love and hate the most
is a Micro Studio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we still sell them. We still use them.
They're fantastic in a studio. There's such a narrow chunk of the market, but they do really well at those little things. Mm-hmm. But there's so much potential there.
Yeah.
Drives me freaking nuts. Give us what we want, Blackmagic.
I know. Well, let's look at
Actually, so for the record, if I had to choose a product that was the thing I'm probably most excited about, it probably is the streaming bridge. And the reason why is because, yes, you have to have an AIDA Mini Pro, but it is one of the cleanest, easiest ways to send basically a live stream as a live source, ultra low latency, without using servers or any complex systems, routing tools, whatever. It just uses public Wi-Fi or public internet, and you can go point to point with a full quality 16 megapixel, 16 megabit video stream with a really low latency. I mean, completely usable for an interview. Mm-hmm. It's probably, it's no more delayed than using like a remote guest feature on like Livestream or something, Livestream Studio. But it's actually cheaper and easier and better quality. So
sweet.
Yeah, it has some really amazing potential for a lot of use cases.
Sounds like fun. Sounds like we need to play with that more.
Yeah, I actually have 2 of them just because I knew they were hard to get. And so I have some to do some additional testing. But yeah, it's crazy. People are using them for interviews and things like this remotely. Instead of using a cloud-based service, they just kind of do it local. And that's how they're able to get a more remote broadcast feel or workflow, but more of an in-studio look.
Right, yeah.
So you still have like your professional lower thirds and your keys and your like all that stuff is still intact.
Sounds like we got to play with that more.
It's pretty dope.
Maybe on the next episode we can remote chat in with the streaming bridge and.
I wonder if Chad bought one. I wonder if he has one of these.
Well, I don't know, probably. We'll
should send him one and then make him live stream in.
All right. Well, what was your favorite like video shoot or production of 2020?
My favorite shoot. What did we do? Oh, we went to Michigan.
Yeah, that was my favorite for sure.
By far our favorite.
Yeah, the Corey Asbury shoot that we did on his loft roof.
Downtown
Yeah.
Kalamazoo.
If you haven't seen it, it'll be in the show notes. But
Oh yeah.
that was an incredible shoot.
Yeah, that was an interesting shoot. A lot of stairs. Oh my gosh.
Lots of stairs.
We literally walked up a spiral staircase. Well, first of all, it's a tiny building downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go through this little tiny elevator up into an apartment. And then you had to carry all this gear up through this tiny spiral staircase onto a roof. And, oh man, those poor walls.
Yeah, they got dinged up a little bit. Liam and I probably touched every piece of gear that went up that spiral staircase. We took a PA up there. We brought a SD9 console up there. A ton of lights, power.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that we
It was
brought up
awesome. I think it was cool because it was definitely a rooftop shoot, which is, it's kind of trendy, but not overly trendy.
Mm-hmm.
It looked fresh. We actually had, I think what was really exciting was like the dynamics of lighting using the natural like sunset, the placement of like features in the background. We had a church steeple. We what was really cool was the textures, like to shoot outdoors, and we had not only a scenic view, but we also had texture of a brick, and then from another angle we had a completely different wall.
Yeah.
And it just really, and because it was outside with all like natural lighting and just like similar vibe, it really like it still came together. It felt cohesive, not fragmented.
Yeah. And we used the Arri 5Cs, L5C, I think. That's Arri's like LED color changing light. We had 12 of those. I mean, the best part was they were bright enough to compete with when we were still shooting in sunlight. There was still enough light on the face, and then obviously as it got dark,
that was really cool.
They obviously provided a ton of light.
Yeah, that's very notable. I don't think we were changing settings at all. We weren't changing settings as exposure changed because everything was just so dialed. So we actually did a rehearsal the day before. So we knew approximately where exposures would be so that it stayed consistent during the whole shoot. So it didn't matter that the background or the sun was setting. It was always going to remain constant, which meant we had to have really good lights.
Yeah, we had 12 of the Arri 5C, L5C, and then we had 8 of the Chroma Q 72, Color Force 72 version 2. The version 2 is so much better than the version 1. And that was it. That's all that we had for the lights, and it provided a lot of light on our stage, which is our rooftop. And we were able to compete with the sunlight, which is impressive, and then at night it was just really bright, which is awesome. And so it lit up that concrete wall, it lit up that other wall. The buildings in the background had their light, so even though the sun set, all those lights were still lit up, so that was fun. Created some bokeh and all that kind of stuff too. So it turned out really well, and we actually used Red Gemini's thinking we might need the low light. Never ended up using the low light because we had plenty of light up there, and like Jesse said, we weren't really changing exposure. We weren't really changing our iris or anything. If anything, I think a couple of the guys had NDs on to help a little bit with the sun coming straight into the camera, and then they just removed their ND as the sun went away. But they weren't really changing anything else besides that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think also, it was just beautiful silhouettes. But the Geminis, it was all handheld.
All handheld, yep.
I had an Easy Rig. Did anyone else have an Easy Rig?
No. Your rig was the largest because you had the Sigma Cinema 50 to 100 lens.
Which is very, very heavy.
And
with a heavy camera.
You have the follow focus and everything. So the Easy Rig definitely helps. The rest of the guys were using, two of them were using old Nikon, like vintage lenses. One was a 25 and one was a 20 mil. And then the other guy was using a Canon 24 to 105.
Mm-hmm. I know, right?
Old. We always
People
dog
hate on that, thing,
lens, but it's like we've used it in some of our favorite shoots and it still works out really good. So we kind of had a wide variety of lenses. We shot Rec 2020, which also helps with the outdoor, the highlights and everything.
That's probably the first implementation of Rec 2020 that actually paid off.
Mm-hmm. And it's cool. We'll link it down there below too. You can see like the live cut versus the actual edit, which is very minimal changes. It just fixed a couple little mistakes and then added a tiny color grade. And
yeah, we should have people guess on how many cameras they think there were.
I think we already
Did we
that
kind of
one
give it away?
Yeah,
Dang.
we only had 4. We did have a drone. The drone didn't turn out as well as we had hoped it would. No drone really does well in the lower light situations, and that's where we were. Even at sunset, it was just not enough light to really, even though it was an Inspire 2 and it had a lens on there and it was at 2.8 and the sensors just don't do well. But the cool thing is that you can live broadcast with a drone using DJI's controller, using the HDMI out of the controller. We still got it into the switcher, and you can put the drone in broadcast mode, so it's a lot slow. Like the drone doesn't fly as fast and can't go as far, but it helps increase the quality that's going wirelessly from the drone to the remote, keeping that HD signal. I think it's still only 720p.
Oh, really? So we upsampled on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, in the post, we took the actual 5K raw file that it was recording and replaced it. But for the live stream, you're not really... It didn't look great anyway, so you're not really going to notice that 720p quality anyways. But it's cool. It worked. It didn't have any like artifacting or like cutouts, which is impressive. So it definitely did its job to not have artifacts or anything like that.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite shoots. I think I had another one. What was my other favorite shoot? We've done so many. I'm just trying to think. That was a really fun one because it was a really fast turnaround. We're kind of in, we're out. There wasn't a lot of rehearsal time, honestly, but personally, it was the most rewarding for our team just because we all felt like we were just in our element.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, we loved it. Everyone did their job super, super well. Mm-hmm. It felt like we were working as a team really well. Like, it was one of those where, like, we set up for 2 days. We tore out that night. Everyone was involved in loading everything out. We went back to the hotel and we watched the whole thing again. You know, It's like you're that excited about it to where you watch it again. And then the next day we're in the airport and, you know, posting screen grabs and like little snippets here and there, like rewatching it again because it's like that epic kind of thing. And then it came out pretty quick and it's on YouTube now. And
it's definitely the project of the year. I think the other fun one, in October, I think I was shooting, there was a couple weeks there I was shooting from like 8 a.m. to like 8 or 9 p.m. Just a whole day of shooting. And it's because I was going from location to location to location. Mm-hmm. That was definitely where production was peaking. But we did that Christmas album and I did the dolly cam, which doing follow from a dolly is a whole different beast. Someone's pushing you and you're trying to communicate with them while trying to follow the subject. Definitely has its challenges. I think it's the 3rd time I've done that now. And it's fun. It's fun to parallax and whatever, parallax and zoom and kind of like do all these new axis points that you never would have done before. It was all Ari too.
Didn't we do the Kim Walker album recording this year as well? At the Cascade. I don't remember if that was this year or last year.
I think
I don't remember.
it was. We should look that up.
Because you ran Dolly on that one too.
On that one I did a Dana dolly, so it was vertical. Like the other 2 times I was on a doorway.
Right. But you're still, the difference was that with the Kim shoot, you were dollying on your own. Versus.
Honestly, if that technically was this year, that was also a really surprising shoot. All these shoots were super surprising.
I'm scrolling through my camera roll to
Not-
see if I can find it.
Well, while you're looking it up, because I think the things that it does have in common, like all these shoots have in common, is the fact that they were all so, I guess, different. They all were unique and different in the way that we were doing it. And all of them were, I think they were all different cameras, weren't they? Yeah.
It was all Ursa's.
Ari, Ursa, and Red.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. The
If you go
shoots were
across-
different.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ari, Ursa, Red. And they all were exceptional. Color was good. The post edit turned out really good. But even the ones that had live cuts were also really extraordinary.
I guess I didn't take any photos.
So, okay.
But
So,
I think it was in February. I'm pretty sure it was in February of this year.
oh, yeah, I wore their shirt yesterday. I should have known.
I know.
Probably would have had the date on it. But anyway, the point is, I think one of the best things that have come out of 2020 has been the elevated response of creativity.
Yep.
So just like I just said, like all of our favorite shoots all use different cameras. Can't really say it was gear, but it was the fact that we had tools that really empowered us to be creative. And we had 3 executions of it. So those were some pretty big flexes, really beautiful work. All 3 different directors, producers. In a lot of sense, it was a lot of different teams. It's very diverse. So
It was actually. They were 3 completely different shoots. There's
there's always a little overlap, but overall, though,
the
it was
Kim Walker one was Nathan Grubbs. He directed and produced that one, and that was all captured and edited in post. The Corey shoot, the difference was that we live streamed the Corey shoot, so there's that was a little bit different. It wasn't just like we did ISO and we did fix a little bit in post, so for the repost of it, but it was a live stream.
also we were one of the first people to stream using the Ray encoder, using Resi.
Oh, right. Yep. That stream was on the Ray encoder on a rooftop.
Still YouTube, so it's still compressed, but
Yeah. So that was different, and I directed that one. So it was just slightly different because when you add the live cut into a shoot, it just changes the dynamic completely, And then the Christmas one was all done in post as well. So there was no live stream for that one. And Caleb directed that one. And so it's just, different people, different styles, different gear, all have great outcomes.
yeah, I think there's probably more to unpack there because, we just did 3 epic shoots this year that we're thinking of on the top of our head, all different technology, different teams, lots to celebrate there. The most important thing coming out of that is the creativity.
Yeah.
Everyone was intentional about being creative. It wasn't mundane or the normal.
Yep.
And I'm just thinking, like, how do we, there's got to be a takeaway there of like, how do we bring that same energy into 2021? Like if you're doing broadcasts and you're not bringing that same energy, you're going to be left behind.
Right.
I think in overall the market, we've all experienced an upgrade, some of us more than others. And I think it also means it's more competitive. But at the same time, it's forcing us to be fully engaged in our craft. And I think overall that means healthier people, healthier for our work and our development, healthier for our teams, healthier for our business. So I'm excited to see if people respond in that way. Like, do they choose to be inspired by their previous work and creating a new normal if you want to be relevant to the language. You know, that's
Yeah.
definitely an area of new normal that I'm all for.
Yeah, I think so. I think you always have to take those previous shoots, anything that you're doing, even the mistakes or the things that you didn't like, and help pull that. You know what I mean? That's gonna help drive you for your next shoot. But yeah, getting inspired and I think, you know, the Corey shoot is like a big example of how we're trying to merge the cinema and the broadcast. We've talked a lot about this. Because it was for product, you know, you could say for a product, even though we were live streaming, we knew that we were going to re-release it later.
Yeah.
Again, so we were isolating all those things, but it's like, it was very cinematic, and it might not have been as crazy as some of our other shoots or even other people's shoots, as far as like, you know, it was all handheld, but it wasn't like all over the place. I don't know how to say that better, but it wasn't wild. And it wasn't like purposely shaky cam. You get to that point where it's like you're like adding shake on purpose. There was none of that. It was just the shaky cam was from the natural handheld movement.
There was a lot of movement, and I think that was definitely cool. It was funny watching us too, because it was like a dance, man. You saw four camera guys just moving everywhere.
You know, props to you guys. We had Jesse on the follow shot, which he got way more than just the follow shot. But then you have Elijah K, Toby Johnston, and Ben Smith. You know, we picked those people specifically because we knew that they would get the shot that we wanted them to get, and we placed them where we knew they would get the shots that we wanted. And so there was very little directing from me. I was really cutting, and there was very few times where I was like, get that or get that. But, you know, all of you guys felt the music. They were new songs, so we hadn't listened to them a ton.
I hadn't heard them at all.
And it's just, and it shows, it's, you know, it's that pro status mark, I would say, of like you were able to feel out what's happening, and you felt the songs, you knew how the song would flow just by being in the moment. You know, like you were in the moment with the music and what was happening, which just allowed me to choose the best shot. But you all had amazing shots most of the time.
I think we keep coming back to that shoot, and I think it's because, you know, you could use the language, there was a synergy. There was a synergistic effect happening within the team. And that's because we had people who were competent, right? They knew their job. They knew their craft really, really well. I think probably the bigger point there, which is the takeaway, right? It's not just this creative energy or creative process. It's the mindset showing up. You know, we would not have been good camera ops if we, not knowing the music, if we weren't 100% on.
Yeah.
Because we weren't 100% present or 100% engaged with the content, you know, and that's the thing. That's the attitude or the position in life. It's like we can sit back and wait and have the director do the work, or we can show up and do the work and be 100% giving and serving and giving our all, our 110%, you know? And I think the passion for the craft is what created or trailblazed the you know what I mean? Like it laid the foundation for us to have an epic production. And it's because it existed at every level: lighting, audio, production. And none of it was hype. There was nobody barking orders.
No.
It's because everybody was there because they chose to be there, and they chose to do something epic in the midst of things that were making it harder. Like it was a hard thing to do.
It was actually one of the most like physically challenging things. I was so exhausted, like my body hurt. Carrying hundreds of pounds of equipment up a spiral staircase is not an easy task. And you're baking in the sun on a black tar roof. You know, you're out there all day and you're getting sunburnt. It's hot as heck, you know, so it was physically challenging. But the reward, I think that also makes the reward so much better, is like we pulled off something so epic that we constantly are talking about. and
Yeah,
it was one of the
I haven't-
harder things that
I
we
haven't
did.
made my reel, but we should definitely work on our reels and throw some shots in there.
Yeah, for sure. I do.
I didn't even think about it because I don't have a huge value for reels. I just don't. I don't think they really get you work, but sometimes they work.
I have a post on my website where I like posted a bunch of photos and screen grabs, like frame grabs from like some of the best frames, and then like
I think there's a
comparisons and
reference
things
for
like
that. I think another thing to mention too is so this is my big soapbox. Like, it's culture, right? You don't only want a team of people who are good at what they do. You also want people that are easy to work with.
Yeah,
And-
I mean,
and
we
who
all
you-
work really well together.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're not having fun, like we wouldn't have brought the same energy to that environment, you
Yeah.
know. And that's a huge element. And I think you get if you're frustrated at your job or what you do, build trust, build relationship with the people that you're working with, because if you're not getting the results that you want, perhaps you're not in the culture, or the culture hasn't been built yet
Yeah.
to support that. That's my takeaway
Yep.
on that one, because I think we had almost no instruction as far as we knew what we needed to do,
Yep.
because we know our craft.
Yeah, and I mean, the only instruction that I really gave was like, Jesse, you're here, and you're the follow cam, and that was it. And
That was
Eli,
it. It
Eli,
was-
you're the wide shot from here. Toby, you're, here, and Ben, you're over here.
Here's your home base. This
Yep.
is where you start. Yeah.
And that was really it, and also open to suggestions. Like, as a director, I had been on a different lens, and he asked, "Can I switch to this lens?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, absolutely." And it was so much better on the 24-105 than the 7200 for what we wanted. And it was like, okay, so you, as a director, be open to feedback, because you know.
Yeah.
And I think the other difference is too, all of you are editors as well, and directors, and so you think about the post cut, you think about what the director's doing and what the editor's going to be doing while you're shooting, because I do that when I'm shooting, and it's those little things like waiting a couple seconds longer even after I've cut off of you to leave room for the edit. You know what I mean? It's like all those things that we just do naturally. We don't even have to think about anymore. But you're also seeing where everyone's at and providing the shot that isn't there, that kind of thing.
Yeah. What was interesting, if we weren't editors, that probably wouldn't have worked out very well, because we don't have tally.
Nope.
There's no directing on comms, and we don't have program. We have zero reference. We couldn't even see the color. We had
Right.
no clue.
Yeah.
That's
I
what's
mean,
wild.
you
had to know what the guy next to you was doing just by using peripheral vision, and or just hearing the music and knowing the person.
and they're like, oh, he's getting
Like,
that
they're
shot.
definitely going to be getting that shot right now. That's probably what was the biggest buzz for us.
Oh, yeah,
Was
absolutely.
it was like literally being in virtual reality. Like, you could
And
see things that weren't there.
If you watch the multi-view, you can hear I don't give any direction other than I'm calling what camera I'm taking. And for a large majority of the time, they couldn't really hear me anyways, or it was hard to hear me. So, again, they were just flowing.
Yeah. All right, we should move on. We've been rambling about that.
So, is there anything that you're looking forward to for 2021? Any productions or any? and I know it's January, but like, is there
It's
anything that
January.
you're looking forward to?
I'm like, right now, life is day by day. It's still day by day.
Yeah.
So I can't really answer that.
We do have some production online content coming. That'll be fun.
I'm excited to get some tutorials done. Yeah, definitely excited about that. I have quite a list of them, just for my businesses and things. All the things that I'm doing, I have quite a long list, and I'm excited to finally be able to accomplish some of those.
Yeah.
That to-do list should be getting real short this year.
Yeah, I'm excited about the tutorials and those kinds of things that we're going to be pumping out here shortly. We're actually leaving tomorrow, which it probably won't be tomorrow when you hear this, but we're leaving tomorrow to go film some stuff. So that'll be fun for 2021.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have any highlighted shoots, but I can see.
Same.
I'm excited to see what 2020 brings.
I'm
on a
excited to
production
get
front.
more Komodos in more people's hands. I got several clients that are waiting for their Komodos that we're going to install, and then I have a couple more demos that I'm going to have to travel around and demo.
I love my little Pocket 6K here. That's what we're shooting on now. Oh, by the way, the set, we're just, it's a vibe today. We just didn't want it bright.
Yeah. Dark and moody.
Just dark and moody is how we felt. So
It's morning. It's kind of overcast. It's like, let's just keep it moody.
keep it chill.
And last but not least, we got new merch, Pro Status merch, over on our Production Warehouse store. So we'll link it below, but head over to Production Warehouse and get some Pro Status merch.
Sweet. Well, thanks, guys. Hopefully this was entertaining. A bit of a ramble, but we're just getting caught up, and thanks for jumping on with us.
Excited for the new year.
Yeah, excited for the new year.
Thanks for listening to the Pro Status Podcast. Be sure to go to the website and download all the episode details.